We acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation as the traditional custodians of the land on which Al, Kate and all their mates is recorded. Always was, always will be. You're listening to Al, Kate and all their mates. I'm Alex Leahy.
And I'm Kate McCarthy.
And on today's episode, we speak to our mate, Julia Chiera.
Julia is the head of AFLW at the AFL Players Association and played a major role in the historic CBA that saw both AFL and AFLW players come together under the one agreement. Julia is also a 3-time premiership player for the Darebin Falcons and former president of the club.
During her time on the couch, Julia gives us her top 5 AFLW moments of all time.
The literal sign she noticed that lit the fire during the CBA negotiations.
And how her algorithm is driving her to spice up her life.
Slam it to the left. So get ready for another episode of Al, Kate and our mate, Julia Chiera. Well, Julia Chiera, JC, thank you so much for joining us on the couch for Al, Kate and all their mates today.
Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here. We do like to start our pod with how we know our mate. And I remember the first time we spoke was, I think there was a release of an AFLW fixture and I went off on Twitter about some of the decisions that were made.
Yeah.
Which...
So out of character.
Oh, I know. I mean, it's not like me to advocate for AFLW players.
Touché.
And yeah, there were a few things that came up. And then I remember I got a message from Emma Race. Actually, I got a message from you that was like, hey, it's Julia Chiera here from the AFL Players. I saw your tweet. If you want to have a chat about the fixture, please let me know.
Yeah.
And my experience from people that reach out with stuff like that had basically been, you're wrong, I'm going to tell you all the ways that you're wrong, and that's why I'm trying to reach out to you. And I was like, I don't think I need to speak to this woman. And then I text Emma and I was like, do you know Julia? And she was like, yes, like she's on our pod, blah, blah, blah. Definitely call her. And I was like, oh, okay, great. I'm really glad I messaged you. And then we talked about it and it was the most insightful conversation that I've had. And I was like, you know what? If JC is the AFLW rep from the AFLPA, the league is in very, very good hands from that perspective. So initially, I was put off and now we've been friends ever since. And I respect a lot of the work that you've done while you've been in the role at the AFL Players Association.
Damn, big props.
Thanks, Kate. And pretty much everyone has that impression of me at first. And amazing that you didn't actually remember that I presented to you at Hawthorn in a club visit.
No.
Well, great. You were scowling that
Apologies.
day. But anyway.
And you guys have met at a tram stop? Well, you met through me
we
and
met
then
through you. Like my mum lives very, very close to the PA offices. And yeah, it turns out we've seen each other at the tram stop many times. And I remember you messaged Kate being like, I don't know if Alex like smiled at me because she knows who I am or if it's just one of those hello fellow lesbian like, polite nods.
It's just the little nod.
Which exists. Like
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely.
For
It's
sure.
the little hello bean.
Yeah, it's like, yes.
I know what you've been through.
Yeah. I see you. Yeah.
We do like to start the pod with this though, and it is can't stop, won't stop. And JC, you messaged me a long time in advance to say that you had one, so I am excited for this one. Please take us through your can't stop, won't stop.
Yeah, look, I tried to find like a highbrow thing because I have highbrow tastes.
Yeah.
But the algorithm is really bringing me down to earth and bringing me back down to my teenage roots. And my can't stop, won't stop is I can't stop thinking about what happened between Mel B and Jerry.
Oh, and we all know what happened.
I can't deal with it. Like, if I had known that this was a thing as a what, I would have been maybe 16, 15 when the Spice Girls were huge. And if the internet had existed, like I wouldn't have got out of bed. And the fact that it seems to somewhat be canon, I'm not coping with it. And I think, what's I don't know why I just can't stop, and the algorithm keeps feeding it to me. These like montages with slow music, just the
so you're in
heartbreak.
like the full like not fanfic because it's not fic, like it was on.
Yeah.
It was on. It just keeps feeding it to me. I'm clearly pausing too much on the videos. But I think like in the last 20 years of being on the internet as a queer person, like you get fed all this stuff about celebrities. I'm like, I don't feel nice about this. Like Taylor Swift Gaylorism. Like I don't like it. It feels violent. I'm like, let's not, like there are enough queer people. We don't have to pretend that people who aren't queer are queer. Stop it. But then this pops up
And everyone's like,
oh my God.
You're like, give me more.
Yeah, it's true.
That's right. So that's my can't stop, won't stop.
I love that. That's a great one. I'm going to go off that as well. My can't stop, won't stop at the moment is actually Mel C. The new Mel C album just came out.
Yeah.
It's, it's a fun sort of like mind-numbing UK club sounding record, which is like super fun. Like it's fun to drive to and all that sort of thing. But like, I don't know if you've seen the album cover for it, but oh my God, she's so jacked.
Yeah,
it's
right.
crazy. And like she's in her 50s now. I think she's 52 or something like that. And she looks absolutely unbelievable. Like, check this out. She looks sick.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And she was the ultimate misdirection in the 90s.
Yeah.
As a little queer person, you were drawn to Mel
that's the
C.
thing.
And now
I
she's like,
I don't joke, but like I do joke that like my first experience of being queer baited was Sporty Spice. And my second experience was Marissa and Alex on the OC. Remember that?
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, I'm all about, I think Mel C is unreal. Like
And
I
she's
think
a legend.
Like she's an absolute legend. She's cool as. I love her accent. Also like now realizing that she actually sings in her accent. Like it's so cool, But yeah, so Mel C is my can't stop, won't stop.
Love it.
We love Mel C.
And I'm going to do a needs to stop today because there is something that needs to stop in the world, and it is in the fashion world, and it is the ballet flats that look like hooves.
Oh yeah, I know
These
what you're talking
things,
about.
have you seen them? Like they are like
no, we don't need toe definition.
we don't need to know that your big toe is there and that the rest of your toes are outside of that. They are so off-putting. I just can't take people seriously when they're wearing them.
Are they supposed to be comfortable?
I don't know. Like, what are they supposed to be?
I don't know.
Like, are they supposed to be a little bit like animal feet? Like, is that what we're going for? Like,
It's a bit Animal Farm. I don't know why, but
it's one of those things in fashion that someone thought of and was like, this will be funny. And then everyone's like, these are great. We're going to do them.
I don't know. I have no shade, but I do. I'm sort of like, where did the idea? What's the vision?
Yeah.
Like, what's the artist statement behind this shoe?
We need to get into the weeds of those, but I just think they need to stop. Put them on hold. Let's leave them for a while. Let's work out if they're going to stand the test of time, and in my eyes, they're not. And they just need to stop. All right, let's stop them. JC, we are here to talk about footy though, and your life alongside football. And I hate the word journey, but let's start with your football journey because you played Auskick. You were no. My research has failed me.
I was going to say, like,
I thought you were
Auskick-
doing
I feel like Auskick was new.
well,
for
like
our
sorry, not the word Auskick, but like to get into footy, you were a part of that, and then obviously, as most women that are a little bit older than the women now, you had to stop because there was no pathway for you. And then you started playing it at 28.
yeah. So you've made my junior footy career sound a bit more generous than it did. I went to 3 sessions as a
Great.
9-year-old.
You did it then.
At the Ivanhoe Hose.
Yes, go Hose.
And I started off, they did a little tour coming to my little Catholic primary school, and everyone came down to that first session, all the girls and boys, the whole class. And then by the second session, I was the only girl there. And then by the third, my parents were like, this doesn't seem like the right thing. Go play netball and wear a white skirt.
Yeah.
So that was my junior career. But I always loved it. I grew up going to Vic Park with my dad, even though I'm a Carlton supporter. And and then I, as an older person, had kind of been a bit lost to sport really, I think. Something gender-wise going on there. And and ended up back living in Thornbury, passing this group of women training on the Merry Creek, and finally, after a few years of watching them, got the courage to go down to a session in 2010. So, yeah, I was 28.
and then you won 3 flags
Yeah.
at the Falcons.
Well, I had the good fortune of accidentally joining the most successful community team in the country at the peak of their powers. So, yeah, got to the Darebin Falcons in 2010. It was Peter Searles last year coaching there. Daisy Pearce was the captain. Loz Arnell was there. It was Natalie Wood's first year down there.
God, dynasty.
Astor O'Connor, that was their first year. After a few years, Katie Brennan came down, Elise O'Day, Darcy Versio, who I believe was on this couch too. So,
Friend of the pod.
Jess Delpos, heaps of stars. I've missed names. I always miss names. So, but yeah, it was a dynasty, and I just fluted in and hid in the back pocket and got some medals.
Got your premierships and went on about your work.
No, I just fell in love with it. Like, it was just like unlike anything I'd ever experienced before. The game itself, being able to play the game itself, because I'd always loved it, but had been kind of funneled into more feminine sporting pursuits like netball and tennis. But just got there and there were just these like self-possessed, authentic women laughing and joking and then going hard as at the footy, and just was bamboozled that such a thing existed. So I fell in love with it, stayed there I eventually became a life member because of like my time at the club, and I was president for a few years there, and yeah, couldn't get enough.
From someone that obviously was kind of, I guess, straight away surrounded by people that ended up playing AFLW. Pretty much everyone associated with that club either has had a role in an AFLW club, whether it's administration, coaching, or even playing. How did you then sort of, I guess, look at the development of the AFLW and where, watching from a perspective of a fan, then as someone that had to find their way back to football to now see that the top level had females playing? How was that? And was it easy to watch from or hard to take the hat off of, oh gosh, like I wish this could have been me, to wow, this is incredible?
Yeah, it's interesting. I've never had that I wish it could have been me feeling. I don't know why. It's interesting because I know a lot of women my age and older do have it, but I think because I got to play with the players I did, and experience success, even though it was at, VWFL or VFLW level, like that was enough for me. So yeah, I can't really even think about what it would have been like if I was a 10-year-old seeing AFLW. Like I feel like my whole life would have been different. And like there is a little part of me that goes, yeah, I could have been really good if I'd had the whole pathway, because I know that I'm incredibly coordinated. But, it is what it is, and I've had a really wonderful life with lots of incredible experiences, so I wouldn't take any of that away. But, yeah, watching like your good friends kind of then get onto the national stage and play, in these jerseys that you've always associated with these big Australian institutions. Like it was a bit of a mind F, and it still is at times, but it's whenever I go into a club or I see those players like, coaching or being club captains or whatever, they're still themselves. And so if anything, I kind of like that they came from the Falcons, where it was very community minded, it was very authentic, it was very much like let's centre women's experiences in how this made, and then they go into these big blokey institutions that have been run by men for 150 years and have always done it the one way, and it kind of hasn't changed them. So I like watching that.
That's sick. I reckon that I am no athlete. I'm just going to preface it with this. I'm no athlete. But I'm a big footy fan, and I always have been. And in fact, my babysitter growing up was Phoebe McWilliams. Did you know this, Kate?
Yes. Yeah.
So she used to babysit me as a kid, and then eventually we worked together at the local video shop, which is down the road from the Players Association office as well. It doesn't exist anymore. But I do wonder if there was the presence of AFLW in my life as a child, if my life would have been different, not necessarily because I would have been playing, but because I would have been involved in a different sort of way. And it's been funny watching my friendship circle, people who aren't athletes as well, gravitate towards VFLW and VAFA and these other organisations that are playing football. And I also, dare I say, think that it has changed the face of Melbourne. I had someone the other day overseas ask me, they were like, I hear that Melbourne's an amazing city to be queer in. And then they were like, but where do you go? And I was like, you join a footy club.
Yeah.
And I really think that that's an amazing way that it's changed the landscape of this town specifically.
Yeah, and even if you don't play the sport, join the footy club and run the canteen. Like,
Yeah.
just be a volunteer. Like, you know, fill out
part
the
of it.
forms.
Totally.
Like, there's hundreds of ways to be
Yeah.
involved, even if you don't want to play the sport. Yeah, I agree, and I think I think it's changed the face of Melbourne, but it's changed what it is to like just be a woman. And I know that sounds
Yes.
so lofty, but it just is. Like, if you think about how did you, as a young person, like how did you watch women's bodies be in the world? Like, you know, I was a teenager in the 90s. Like, we had to be like heroin chic and look like we could break, in two at any second. And so then to kind of watch like all different sorts of body shapes as well in AFLW be super strong and, almost balletic in the way that they move around the field, but then hard, get knocked down and get up again. Like it shifted something in me playing it and then watching it again and developed that over time.
But also the flow on of that, which I love seeing at AFLW games, is young boys idolizing these women's players. Like, I think that is a true phenomenon and a huge societal shift as well. Imagine being a young boy growing up with a hero like, I don't know, like Darcy Vesey or Taylor Harris. That's an incredible, incredible thing.
Yeah, it's awesome. And they, children just absorb everything. And so if it is put to them that these things just both exist and you shouldn't question it and these are all athletes, then they just absorb it as it is and they don't place any value judgment on it, and then they are the next generation. So
Yeah, that's the beautiful part of it. So my nephew Henley's 5, and when I think he probably watched women's football before men's, just because it was on at a time where he'd started to be interested in football and it was the women's season. So he started watching that. And then after a men's game later that year or earlier the next year, he said to my sister, his mum, he's like, so when do the women come on? So do the ladies play now? Because the men just finished. So when would the ladies play? And for him, it's just like there's no differentiation. There's no men's and women's. It's everyone plays footy. Everyone plays footy.
Yeah.
And that's the I think that is the thing that we're going to see such an impact on. Yes, young girls that now have a pathway, but young boys who know no different.
yeah.
Women haven't just started. They've always played.
Yeah.
It's interesting to think about sports that don't have that delineation. Do you know what I mean? Like swimming.
Yeah.
I feel like swimming is just swimming. There's like not really men's and women's swimming.
Yeah.
And I wonder how long how you get there, how long that takes. But yeah.
Well, my partner and I joke that like hockey people are the best people. There's just like, if you know people who grew up in hockey, they're just the best.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think because they're both men's and women's on equal footing and they're Olympic sports and they've always been on. And
there's no hierarchy.
There's no hierarchy in hockey. Hockey people are the best people. Put that to the test.
So, I mean, you've spoken about how a lot of the women's players have a career outside of football, and I had a career the whole time I was playing football. I was a teacher alongside of playing footy. I feel like a lot of the players that were there when I was still have those careers. Most of them would work part-time or casual now because of the hours that they're in at the club during the day. What are you finding with the trend of players that are coming through now in the AFLW pathway? Because if you don't have to move interstate, if you're able to live with your parents and you're on 70K to play footy, that would feel like you're on a very good wicket straight out of school.
Yeah.
But to develop then and to be on that for the rest of your life is probably not sustainable. How have you found it? Because for me, this is one of the things as, I guess, a previous AFLW player that I don't want our competition to look like the men's, in the fact that these players are, and I don't want to say only footballers, but just footballers, and it is their whole identity, because I feel like that is a place where men's footy have the most challenges, because a lot of these players only identify as footballers. And when the system can be as brutal as it is, and it's brutal, you could be in a system for 2 years, it chews you up, spits you out, and then what? Or worse, you could be in it for 6 or 7 years, then it chews you up and spits you out and you're mid-20s, early 30s, and you have no idea who you are. Yep. How do we avoid that happening with women's footy?
Yeah. This is a very complex question, but I just want to zoom out a little bit and talk about fans.
Yep.
Because I think there's like fans and families. There is so much expectation and stuff put on players and put on the game. And so, for instance, when you sit down of a Thursday night and you want a game on that night, which we know is happening more and more, you have to think then that for players, they've trained completely different days the week before, right? So if you're a male player, like we do heaps of work at the PA trying to encourage male players to use their day and a half off a week to do some career exploration or do something outside the club, like go and see if you can get a day a week work experience or study a bit, like just start to explore mid-career around what you're interested in.
Is that hard to convince them of?
Yes and no.
Yep.
And why I would say yes and no is like, but if the actual machinery around them means that, well, I have to play a Thursday night this week, so my training days are different from one week to the another, who is going to employ me if I say, well, I'm available Tuesday one week, but Wednesday another, Okay, so the fan wanting the product to be available to them all the time actually means that the player's life week to week is different. So then when fans again then are concerned about players at the end of their career and how some of them do like really struggle. I'm like, yeah, but this is what you expect of them all the time.
Yeah.
So it's, this is the industry that we live in. It's really, it's a difficult one. And how would you balance that out? Because ultimately, like Thursday night footy is fun. People watch it. It gets a broadcaster number and attendance and all that sort of stuff. So I'm looking at that, and then I look at in W, well, we're kind of coming up to that now where, where players are training in the day now. And so their ability to work outside is difficult. And then the fixture comes out and then your days off change week to week. So if you were a teacher, like it's really difficult. What kind of a school will accept you going, well, I'm available Monday, Tuesday this week and Tuesday, Wednesday the next week.
I think the added benefit that you have with that though is employers are very, very happy to say they have someone that is teaching at their school that is an AFLW player that then they're more flexible with at times. And I think that there is slightly, I guess, you're not just asking for days off like an average Joe that sort of starts changing, but also there's a point where it gets frustrating for an employer as well.
Yeah, it gets old.
Yeah.
Like it might be for 1 year we're happy to support this player, but if it's a year on year on year and whatever you teach, if you're the physics teacher and this year physics
year 12
on,
physics is always on. Yeah.
So that does really make it difficult. And because we know that like the minimum wage and the average wage for W players, minimum 70, average will be in the 80s, like you're not putting money away. Like you might be able to live, maybe. You supplement your income with your work outside, but you're not getting to the end of the career where you've probably bought a house and paid it down and a little bit like that. So we're in a tricky time because at the same breath, those 18-year-olds coming in are being – there's physically what we tell them and then there's all the messaging around it. They get encouraged to come in February when they're not technically supposed to be there to train and give up their time to do all that, to be in the club a lot, and when they could be working or studying or smashing through placements or whatever, but they want to be athletes. They want to get in the team. They want to play their first game. They want to do all that, and it's really hard to have that. So, it keeps me up at night, that problem, because we're not yet there for pay at the level where we can go, you know what, you can do this for 10 or 15 years and you won't come out of it with any debt and you will have a few assets. Like we're not actually there yet.
Yeah.
It's kind of similar in the music industry as well. Like, we refer to it a lot as the gig economy, which is basically having to juggle touring and the instability of that sort of income, especially for session musicians as well, who do tend to go towards teaching as, to supplement their income too. But then to be like, I'm going to be away for 8 weeks because I'm going, on tour is always a really tricky thing. And then you pair that with like even, I've worked with people before who do teaching as well and they're like, I can't go on tour between September and October because my year 12s have exams, that sort of thing. But it's a really tricky thing to juggle, and then you add stuff like trying to contribute to your superannuation into that, the lack of capacity to get a home loan because of the way that your income looks. It's a really hard thing to balance. But like you said, the bottom line is this is what these people do. They're very, very good at it. And if you don't support them to do it, then you're losing talent. And you're losing the capacity to grow these industries and also to contribute to society,
Yeah.
but sport and the arts and all these things at a high level.
Yeah.
So how do we support these people to do that, to excel in these spaces and be representative of excellence while also making sure that they're supported, not just in the moment, but way into their lives and into their future. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big juggle.
It's
a big juggle. But you know what? Like there's the, you know, what do you want to be after your career's over? Like that's such a hard conversation to have with an 18 or 19-year-old because they're so in it. But I'm still of the firm belief that like everyone needs to work in hospitality once and everyone needs to have a work at like reception once. Man or woman or non-binary, everyone needs to do that job. Society will be the better for it.
So it's important to eat shit. You know? Like, we're all going to eat shit at some point.
Yeah.
No, you just need to know what it is to have a real fucking job.
Absolutely.
And,
Absolutely.
And so, you know, if that's what you're doing in your off time as an 18-year-old, I'm fully supportive of that. But yeah, over time, it's like, okay, like, what do you want to be afterwards? And going back to my whole thing around like fan behaviour, like if you know a player or you meet a player and all you talk about is football and your perception of them as a footballer, you are putting them in a little hole, a little identity hole where you're telling them all you are to me as a footballer and your importance is just closely related. So like check yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, it happens all the time. I think especially when you are a part of an industry or you're contributing to culture in a way that everyone is accessing, you know, like football or like music, people think that they know what your job is.
Yeah.
And they think that they know what it's like.
Yeah.
You know, you guys have experienced this and they can give you their 2 cents and all this sort of stuff. But like, you don't know unless you're in it, man. You know, unless you're like, and it is not just a job. It is like, that is your life. And it is your lifestyle and it is how you exist and how you move in the world. And also it's not everything. Like there's a whole lot of other parts of us too.
I think that's the one thing that footy clubs have been really good at with both men's and women's football now is highlighting the work that their players are doing outside of the football club.
Yeah.
And I love that they've lent into it through the women's pathway, but now they're really leaning into it with the men and the work that they're doing either in the community or whether they're studying and talking about their study. And the Players Association does that in a really good way to shed light on this. And like you said, if you keep telling someone that they're a footballer, but then you're telling them that you want them to be something other than a footballer, all they're listening to is the fact that they're a footballer because that's all you seem to talk to them about. So I love the work that both the PA and the football clubs are doing on this to try and, I guess, change that perception of players that they are more than just what they're doing on the weekend and representing their club on the football field because they are representing the sport in other elements and other professions as well. Yeah. Well, let's get to the fifth quarter, or as we call it, extra time. Quick fire questions just to wrap things up, JC. To start with, what is your coffee order?
A long black.
Yeah, baby.
Does it change, summer or winter? Always a long black?
Sometimes a nice long black, sometimes an espresso, but long black.
Pie or sausage roll?
Ooh. Oh, God. I don't mind like from a country bakery, like a cauliflower and cheese pie, but I'll just say a sausage roll.
Yeah, nice. Who was your childhood hero?
Mel B.
I don't think I had one. Maybe Luke Perry from Beverly Hills 90210. Did I want him or did I want to be him? Who will know?
The age-old question, lipstick or chapstick?
Neither.
Who was the first gig that you went to?
Bon Jovi at Olympic Park.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a good first one.
Damn. And do you remember the first game you ever played?
Or footy?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been at the local oval of the Ivanhoe Hose. Not sure if I got the ball, but I had a great day. I remember my first game at the Falcons where I got tackled the first time and just the shock of it and standing up, like all the adrenaline coming through me going, what the hell was that?
I am not built to play football. Like, as much as I love it, like I know, like, you know, my ego is in check because I know that I am not built for that shit. It's crazy.
Cooking or doing the dishes?
Cooking, absolutely.
What's your dream car?
I think I want an EV.
An EV?
A small EV.
Wow.
Right now I'm driving a family wagon and I feel terrible about it. So I would like something small, run from my solar panels. Thank you.
And the final one that we have for you, do you have any feedback for the pod?
Well, I've been haranguing you to come on and no. Do I have any feedback feedback for the feedback is a gift, isn't it? No, I love
is.
your work. I would like more art versus sport questions.
Oh, yeah.
But that'll do for
Well,
today.
is sport art?
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Yeah.
People want to feel feelings, and they want that to happen in any way possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Well, JC, thank you for joining us on Al, Kate and all their mates. It's been fantastic having you solving all of the world's problems, really, and especially the AFLW and the growth that we are going to see in the next 10 years while you're leading the way. Thank you for coming on the pod, JC.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Al, Kate and all their mates. Remember, new episodes drop every Tuesday, so make sure you like, subscribe and follow to stay up to date. And make sure you tell your mates so they can become our mates.